physically, mentally, and most importantly, we need to plan financially. Especially we in the terrain, we found ourselves. Majority of us came at our middle years, and the more years we spent, the closer we had to our retirement. And when we leave whatever we are doing today, do we have enough resources to be able to live well when we're no longer working at old age? Because one day it will knock on the door, whether we like it or not. And I can tell you every year we are all getting closer to it. You know, one thing about this is that thank God for church, you actually allowed this to happen. In your place of work, nobody will teach you this. I still wonder when you are just like 2 months your retirement, that's when they tell you to go for training for your retirement. When you're unable to do anything any longer, when it's already closed, 2 weeks, 2 months. But when you start the job, there is no information about it that, okay, you want to, this is what you have to do. So I'm going to put a disclaimer quickly to every one of us here, and which is, this is a training, and at the same time, everyone is obligatory if you want to follow it or not. But it's just a lesson of life that we all need to actually go through. So I'm going to share my slide with you for us to see. And you can all agree with me that in Canada, we need to plan for our... Can we see the slide? Okay, let me just show. That's in Canada. Yeah, great. So that we need to plan towards our retirement. And it's something we need to make a conscious effort about, whether we like it or not. So planning for retirement requires a great deal. When you are young, I think it is far, far better than when you get to the old age. You start from the day you finish from your school, or even, if possible, before. And I'll be very fast with this. Please, let's just move as much as possible with me. So we can see the 3 topics we have, like about this quadrangle, or what do you call it here? Pie chart: retirement, investment, estate planning, insurance, taxes. These are the main stem of our financial, stability in Canada today. It's either you invest today to retire well, you need a coverage in case a sudden eventuality happens. Estate planning is when you pass away. What do you do? Taxes, whether you like it or not, every day you are paying taxes. I think the only thing we don't pay taxes for is when we breathe. If possible, we will pay tax for it. So looking at this critically, but today we'll only be talking about, I'll say, 2 things: retirement planning and insurance. We might be talking about other investment again, and maybe taxes and estate. So it may actually come into all this. So this is the first slide we have, and I'll go talking about retirement planning sources, the retirement income sources in Canada. Please, can we mute whoever is there? Thank you. So I want us to quickly go through this. We want to take a snapshot of this. I think it could be helpful for anyone. That wheresoever desire financial freedom should understand this vital statement: that every man who put his money in the hands of a government puts it into his hand a sword, which will be used against himself to extort more money from him and also keep him in subjection to his arbitrary will. That those who will take his money without his consent in the first place will use it for his further robbery and enslavement, if he presume to resist their demands in the future. This is by Lysander Spooner, the author of No Treason, It's late now. But let's go in this journey. These are the various sources of income you could take advantage to enjoy your retirement, your old age in Canada. Number one is a personal pension, workplace pension, Canada pension plan, old age pension, guaranteed income supplement, and life insurance. Most workplaces talk about, when we are working about our workplace pension plan, we can see CPP being deducted every month, but we may not know exactly what we are hoped to. But let's go. Personal pension plan. For instance, this is the best way to plan your retirement if you don't have, you're not working. And the major two ways for every individual is either the RRSP or TFSA. And some do have some non-registered investments. So what is RRSP? Is Registered Retirement Savings Plan. You can do a personal one. There are group, from your place of work as well, which we will discuss. Then TFSA, tax-free saving accounts. And the non-registered investment is every other investment that doesn't fall under these two categories. Now let's look at the RRSP. Majority of us see that when you have RRSP, that amount you invested into RRSP is taken from your income in a year. So you pay less taxes, right? So you reduce the amount of tax you pay now. But you want to agree with me that taxes will never reduce. It will continue to increase. So just have one thing at the back of our mind, that RRSP is taxable when you are taking it at the time when you're supposed to take it at old age. And now it saves you like maybe 1 or 2% taxes now, but then you're going to be paying like 10 to 12 taxes percent, maybe 10 to 12%, depending on your income bracket. So no matter how lower your income bracket will be, you're still going to end up with nothing less than 4 to 5% if it saves you 1% or maybe up to 2% now. TFSA, the tax-free savings fund, is non-taxable. That's the beauty about it. It's a good thing to go with. It has a tax-free growth, and at withdrawal too, at any point in time, you don't pay taxes on it. Now let's go to the workplace pension plan. It's similar to the personal pension plan if you put it in place. But one thing that we should try to understand is, let's ask our employer the advantages and disadvantages of the plan, we're given at the place of work. Because that's what actually hold a lot of people at work. Oh, my employer is contributing maybe match 5% of what I have. But do we ever think about the tax implication of those things at the end of the day? You want to agree with me? There are so many people working in Canada at the age of 70, 75. In fact, statistics shows that 65% of Canadians retire poor. Only 9% retire successful. They are successful at retirement. So we have something called employer registered pension plan. It is taxable. Group registered retirement savings plan is taxable. There's another one, pooled register, but we're not going into details today because that's not the purpose. If we have any other plan, we can actually go into all those things in context. Then we have group tax-free saving plan, which is the only taxable income when we are at the place of work. It is good to have all these things, but let's remember the tax implication. That's why the tax is coming. Now, the beauty about this is we have something called Canada Pension Plan. This is, you see it from your payslip that this is being taken monthly. And you want to see, I've seen a lot of people when I speak to them, they said, oh, I know when I ask you, what are you going to be getting at your retirement? Maybe they are doing 2, 3, 4 jobs. And they say, oh, I contribute a lot. I know I'm going to be getting like 3,000 to 4,000 per month. I'll just smile. I'll show you what the rate is this year. Because there's a maximum contribution. It doesn't matter what you earn. Once you get to that cap, the remaining will be refunded to you. But that remaining portion will be taxed first before you get the remaining back. And that's why a lot of people, when they do 2, 3 jobs and say, oh, I get tax refund about 3,000. If you are getting the tax refund of 3,000, I can assure you, well, you pay nothing less than 2,500 to 3,000 to the government. Again, in that, it should have been 6,000 that you over contributed. So now, if you are self-employed, you will make the contribution by yourself completely. But if you're working, your employer make half. So this year is 5.95%, and then you contribute 5.95%, which is beautiful as well. So let's look at this table of contribution rates and maximum and exemptions from year 2014 to today. So in year 2024, you can only have maximum contribution if your gross earning is 68,500. Anything less than that, then you are not going to be having maximum contribution into your Canada pension plan. So now, if whatever you earn in a year is less than 3,500, then you have no contribution. And the maximum contribution, like I said, is for this year is when you have 68,500. For self-employed, they have to put the 5.95% by themselves, and then the employer will put 5.95%. They will be 9 points, almost like 10 point something percent for self-employed. But for an employee, you have 5.95 and your partner has 5.95. Now, the Canada pension plan amount changes yearly, and it is dependent on how long you have contributed to the plan. So the highest amount you can receive is when you defer your Canada pension plan up to the age of 70. After 70, there is no benefit for waiting any longer. And you can have up to about 42%, top up on your Canada pension plan. So that means for every month you defer after the age of 65, every month you defer your Canada pension plan, you are getting 0.7%. So multiply by 60 months, then you have 42%. But however, you are eligible from the age of 60 as well. And if you start at the age of 60, then any months away from the age of 65, then you're losing 0.6%. So if you start at the age of 60, you have lost 36% of your pension. And the maximum you can get, which is 100%, is at the age of 65. And in 2024, this is your take-home pay monthly. That's if you are putting 40 years with maximum contribution. You have 40 years of maximum contribution into Canada pension plan, then you have 1,364. So you can do the math if you are like 45 when you came in, or you are like 40. But remember again that the Canada pension plan is taxable. Okay, another one is the old age pension. Here, you don't have to work, nothing to do about this. All you need to be, minimum is permanent resident, and you must have lived in Canada for 10 years. Again, you must be at the age of 65 for you to be able to be eligible for old age security. Now, there are people who lived in Canada not up to the age of 10 years and they left, maybe Canadian citizen, and they live in some countries. Through social security agreements, they can be eligible, but up to the maximum of 10 years, right? For them, if they, but because if you are to enjoy your Canada pension plan, your old age benefit outside Canada, you must have lived in Canada for 20 years. If not, you won't be able. But if you are in Canada, minimum requirement is 10 years after the age of 18. And then for you to have the maximum benefits, you must have lived in Canada for 40 years after the age of 18. So when you had it, so that means you must have lived in Canada for up to the age of 62, right? 58, right? But however, you are not going to be eligible until you are 65, just to let you know. So you have to wait. And now again, too, just like the other one, but prevention, maybe you're just 10 years in Canada, or you are less than 40 years in Canada. Let me put it that way. So it's going to be the number of years you have lived divided by 40 multiplied by the maximum. And the maximum payment today is $727.67. So if you came in at the age of 40 or 45, you're just getting half of these. So add it to the half of 136 something. So that means your take-home pay at the age of 65 will be like 1,100. Think about it very well. Does that pay your rent today? Even though, of course, inflation will affect it, it will go up then. But even as of today, if you are earning 1,100, old age and Canada pension plan, will it pay? And it's taxable. Both are still taxable at the end of the day. So let's think about it very well. Now, if that means you're going to get partial pension. That is one thing. Also, you can delay your old age security too. After age of 70, there is no advantage. And when you delay it, you have 0.6%. So that means a maximum of 36% on your old age security. Old age payment will stop 6 months after you left Canada if you are not up to 20 years in Canada. Because through portability, it's only when you are more than 20 years in Canada, that's when your old age becomes portable. You can take it with you as either a permanent resident or Canadian citizen. But if your country is not among those countries whereby the social security agreement can be applied, then of course you won't be eligible for it. So you have to come back to Canada, whether you like it or not. So again, there's something called guaranteed income supplement. This is to support low-income citizens above the age of 65 who are eligible for old age pension. I call this is only when I don't wish anybody, pray to get this, because you must be living below poverty to be eligible for this. And I will show you the table for that. So you must live in Canada for you to get this. You can't live outside Canada and qualify for it. You must be collecting old age pension, and you must have an income below the threshold amount. And I will show you the threshold amount now. So if you are single, divorced, or widowed, if your total income, for instance, for this month from October till December, for you to be eligible, which is the maximum amount of $1,072.93, that means your income in 2023, when you file your tax, must be less than $22,056. If it's more than this, you are cut off. And now this is even prorated. It's only when your income is zero that you have $1,072.93. So as your income progresses, then the maximum monthly payment amount reduces even up to 50 cents. Now, if you have a spouse, the two of you are married, you are above the age of 65. If your combined income as husband and wife is more than $29,136, then you will be eligible for $645 each. I mean, at zero now, you have $645. So if your income is like $10,000, maybe you'll be eligible for $150 or $180 each. That's what it is. And this is just a table that progresses as well. If you want to take a screenshot, I can just give like a couple of 30 seconds if you need more information about it. And then I go forward. So for a spouse or common law partner who receive allowance, that means if your spouse is less than 50, here, between 60 and 64, this is what you will be eligible for as well. But if your spouse or common law is less than 60 years of age and you are above 65, get this as well. So now, let me skip this place. So if you are single, you will collect higher amounts for sure, or divorced or widowed. Then you cannot receive until you start collecting old age pension. This guaranteed income supplement is not taxable. It's called an allowance. So that's the difference here. They don't tax it, but they tax every other income. Now, let's just say these are some of the things that can impact your guaranteed income supplements. It may reduce it, it may increase it. But when you are receiving guaranteed income supplement, whenever you have any changes, you always have to contact the old age and guaranteed income supplement department so that you don't have to pay back at the end of the day. So it's restricted. Now, let's think about it in Canada. This is called the S-Corp. Here is coming to a place whereby I've shown you all the old age security and everything. You see them, they are very, very much, you pay taxes on everything. your personal pension plan, your workplace pension plan, your Canada pension plan, your old age. But there's something I mentioned in that column, part of the pension as, when you have your life insurance. Life insurance is we all need it, whether we like it or not, because you pay insurance on your car, you pay insurance on your radio, your TV, everything you have to pay insurance, electronics. But it's so very funny when people refuse, just don't take the advantage of insuring their life when they have it, maybe because of little or no understanding. Now, there are some things when we are very young. Think about it. You're actually responsible for your family, providing food, shelter, clothing, education, health, debits, loans and everything. You are active here and you are working very hard for your money. If you make no savings, it's going to be a big issue at the end of the day. I'm struggling with mine as well, but I'm changing certain things. So, and I'm sure there's nobody who can tell me he's not struggling with finances in Canada today, except you want to tell people lie, absolute lie. But if you are young, you can take that good advantage and don't find yourself like people who came in like in their mid-40s and 45. Now, but one thing here is you have a very family. If you are young, you are protected. That's if you die too soon. This will take care of what you need in your family in the left curve. And now, for whatever you have actually invested in, you will see that in the future, these are the things that provide you everything you need. That's if you live too long. Then you have something to actually live on, apart from all the taxable income. It depends on how you structure it. That's what determines how it works for you as an individual. So what is life insurance here? I'm sure a lot of people will be scared. Oh, when you hear about life insurance, it means until I'm dead, that's when I collect my money. It depends on who you are speaking to or who is speaking to you. So I'll quickly run us through certain things here. There are something called term insurance. Term insurance here means you just put your money into it, you get nothing back. You only get paid when you are dead, and it goes to your beneficiary. So, and that's what everybody has. Like what I first knew to myself as an individual. But the beauty here too as well is that prevention, if you put in your money, if it's for 20 years, you didn't die within 20 years, that is gone. You have to start another one all over. Then there's one called the permanent insurance. There are two types here, the whole life and universal life. The whole life, you have a choice on what you want to do, depending on your financial need, after financial need analysis must have been done. Then you go into it. I'll just quickly show all this table to show how the whole thing works. This is term insurance, the whole life, the universal. You can see the temporary coverage is term. This is permanent. Permanent coverage is only the whole life and universal. Cash value, you can make cash value from term, but there's cash value in the whole and universal. Growth potential, there's no growth potential in term because there is no investment portion. But for whole life and universal, you have this. Is it self-directed? That means you have the control over the flexibility over your investments. For whole life, you don't have it. For term, you don't have it. But for your universal, it is flexible. You can work around it by yourself. You can choose a portfolio. You can do whatever you like at any point. Guaranteed premiums. Here, for term, is guaranteed. Whole life is guaranteed. What do we mean by guaranteed here means you don't still have control over the premium. It is going to be set by the advisor, whether you go to the bank or anywhere you do it. But universal, you can choose, it's flexible. You can say, okay, I'm only comfortable with this amount today. Tomorrow I will increase it. That is the beauty of the universal. But when you look at the cost, term is low, whole life is high, and universal is high. So why we have all this is just at the point in time, make sure you have a coverage for yourself. But at the same time, what are your expectations at old age? What are you looking at? So we're talking about using life insurance as a retirement savings tool. When you have a non-sheltered investment, like any other investment, then you pay tax. And it shows that when you start taking from this in any other investment, the number of years is reduced because of your taxes. But when you use insurance tax shelter, you can take it for more years, even though you have the same deposit into what you're doing, using the same number of years. And I will show you something quickly. So let's look at what the tax planning checklist or PricewaterhouseCoopers says. Individuals looking for tax shelters or deferral mechanism may wish to explore the benefits that may be derived from a universal life insurance policy. Such policies may be a powerful tool in the tax planning arsenal, particularly when many other tax shelters appear to have been curtailed. The returns from virtually tax-free accumulation after the deduction of the insurance cost compared to the taxable accumulation can over a long period be quite remarkable. We all know PricewaterhouseCoopers, who they are. So what are the benefits of your universal life policy? I'll run them through quickly so you can make a decision at the end of the day. Number one, this is what it is. It shows like an umbrella for you. While you are today, it saves you money. Your family is protected. You are protected. Your mortgage insurance is protected. You can incorporate a critical illness into it. There's something called compassionate benefit program. That is, let's assume you fall sick and it's going like a terminal disease. You can access, depending on the coverage you have, up to 250%, up to 250,000 of your coverage. But the maximum is 250 up to 50%. So if your coverage is 500, you can access the cash of 250 while you are alive and use it for what you need. And prevention, if you skate through, it's not going to be paid back. You are good with it. But if it's like 100, you can take 50. So that's what it is. Then there's flexibility of that contribution, meaning that other ones, like other the whole life and the time, if you want to invest into them, if you stop your premium after 60 days, then you've lost investment, anything you've done with it. But in the universal, you have something called extended coverage that covers you. Now, this is when today, but tomorrow in the future, what can it do for you? You can have an annual tax-free lifetime income. Even if you pass away at the age of 90 or even 100, there's still a legacy for your family. That's what is called how you transfer generational wealth. Whatever investment you have is protected if they need to pay taxes on them. Then living benefits. In case of severe disability, maybe you can do the 5 basic needs of life, like toileting, bathing, feeding. You can be in a long-term care, and this will pay for it. The beauty about this is that when you have this as a tax-free investment, there is no clawback from the old age security. Apart from being taxable, there is a threshold of income you get to that you don't get paid for the old age security. It's going to be clawed back. That's another thing again. Maybe when you draw too much from other investments, then the old age will be seized by the government. You won't have it for a period of time. Then there's a tax-free investment growth. Then there's an accumulation and performance bonus. This is the only investment in Canada that is protected from creditor. Every other investment, your RRSP, your RESP, your Canada pension plan, whatever, they are not protected from creditor. If you have issues with CRA, they are going to, or anything other, maybe for family justice and whatever it is, they will come after every of your investments, but this is protected from that. Then there's future emergency fund. If you need a lump sum, you can take it out. Then there's a protection. Now, one thing is that you feel like, oh, if I go into this, let's assume the organization I run with happens today, get dissolved. How do I get my money? There's something called assuries. It's under the government, protected. It's an independent company, set up by the government to protect so that they can pay back whatever you have with those organizations. So it's an insurance upon what an insurance company as well, set up by the government. So that means you're protected today and you have protection for tomorrow under this umbrella. So the future of your investment, let me show you. Successful investing is about managing risk, not avoiding it. Would you like your investment to work harder for you? Of course, everybody will say yes. So your UL policy today, just like I said before, is just like when you plant a little tree, no leaf, like when you plant a little tree at your backyard. It gives you all this at the moment. But even in the future, it bears fruits and you'll be able to enjoy more. Not that alone. Let's look at the retirement comparison table that I was talking about here. This is your RRSP, your TFSA. The maximum you can put it in a year is 31,560. For TFSA, 7,000. That's just for this year. Non-registered investment, no limit. And why is it there is no limit? I will show you. Cash value from life insurance, maximum act based on income tax act. So this is regulated by Canada Revenue Agency so that people will not use it to hide money. So when we're talking about tax deductible that I said before, your RRSP, you don't pay tax because when you pay into RRSP, when you are filing your taxes, then what happens is that it is tax deductible. You deduct amount you pay. But your TFSA, it doesn't happen. Non-registered investment, it doesn't happen. That's why there is no limit here. Whatever payment you put into your non-registered investment, any other investment that doesn't fall under these two categories and life insurance is non-registered. So while your investment is growing, let's see it, tax growth in your RRSP, it grows tax-free, which is beautiful. TFSA, tax-free. But your non-registered investment, there's no tax-free. You pay tax on it as it's growing. But your cash level from life insurance is growth tax-free. When you want to withdraw, this is where you pay it at your RRSP. When you want to withdraw, you have to pay taxes. In TFSA, you don't pay taxes. In non-registered investments, you pay tax. So as your investment is growing, you are paying tax. At withdrawal, you are paying tax. There's no two way about it. Now, let's think about what I showed. The blue star here shows if you put in the premium you put in or your deposit is 30,000, you don't pay tax if that's what you are taking out. But any interest and the return, rate of any return you have on your interest or whatever, apart from your adjusted cost base, which is the money, the premium, original premium you put into your plan, you are going to pay tax on it. Now, for cash life from life insurance, tax-free withdrawal, yes. Because there are three ways. You can see like I showed the two red and the one blue. Anything above your tax ACB, like if you want to take withdrawal, there are three ways to assess this: policy loan withdrawal and collateral bank loan, which is the strategy. So now, if you take your policy as cash, if it's not above what you put in, then you don't pay tax. But when it's above, you pay tax. If you use policy loan, you pay interest, not tax. But when you use collateral bank loan, there is no tax. Now, the worst part of this is that when you take your RRSP, it has impact on your government benefits. TFSA doesn't have any impact. Then non-registered investment, it has impact. Cash life from life insurance, cash value from life insurance, no impact. So what is holding you back? The difference between these is the time that you use to save, to look into your retirement. So having considered all these here, it is good to have all these portfolios, but think about them critically. That's how do I reduce my taxes in the future? Because it is not the amount that you have that you receive, but how much are you going to retain? Think about it. That is what we're talking about here today. So if you have any questions, but before going into the questions, I will show you a plan here quickly that I'm going to talk to you about. I can show this to you because actually this is for my daughter. I prepared this in December 2022 just to show you a little bit. The premium is monthly is 100. Let me bring it up here. Summary of strategies, concepts. Okay, this is it here. This is the name. I prepared it myself in December 2022. Yeah. The initial phase amount is 350. I can show this because this is my personal thing. If it's for other people, I won't show that. I only show the... So now 100 premium monthly. And let me show you what happens at the age of 50.
I'm listening.
Right? At the age of 50, she'll be getting 42,006. This is the minimum that she can get. $42,664 yearly. And this is going to be tax-free, whether we like it or not. Now, let me now show us the comparison of this to when you do register retirement savings plan. The same thing is going tax-free the same way, and you have the same amount for only, and what she put in that is only 1,200 for 20 years. I will show you here. the summary of assumption here is putting in only 1,200 yearly, only for 20 years. And after 20 years, it stops. And the only thing keeps going. There's a coverage of 350 initially. But let me show you what the coverage would be at the age of prevention, at the age of 50. This is at the age of 58. The coverage is now 1.4 million. And when you look at here, at the age of 70, the coverage is already 2.8 million. That's how it has grown, because this policy is growing tax-free. Now, let's compare this to taxable investment. Number one, like registered retirement savings plan. The same premium for the same number of years, and you want to begin to take the premium at the age of 50 here too. Look at it, at the age of 50. For you to, if it's for someone to access 42,000, the same amount, you have to withdraw 65. This is what you pay as tax, 22,973. But let me now show you what happens. This is exposed to taxes all the time, and you are drawing out from the principal. So the amount is reducing. So if you start at the age of 50, by the age of 68, the money is depleted. That's all. This to show us exactly what happens to a lot of people when we see them working at the age of 70. And it's not like they didn't invest. They did invest. They had savings. But because they had those savings in a wrong vehicle. Not wrong vehicle, but of course, when you are investing in a portfolio that is performing below inflation, then of course, the investment is at a loss already. That is just the main thing that happens. So this is one of the things you want to take if you are still young or you are still find yourself at a point whereby you can do anything today. Wherever you want to get it done, make sure you look at all these plans, ask your employer what you are eligible for, see how you can invest towards your future. Don't just depend on Canada Pension Plan or what your employer is giving to you. Have multiple streams of income. Mortgage is there, that we're going to talk about that later. Invest in those things, real estate, if you have the opportunity, do it. But early enough, do it, because those things are very valuable. So thank you so much for that. If you have any questions, please go ahead.